Good evening, everybody. I would like to begin by acknowledging the country on which we gather tonight, and especially the land and sea that shape the lives and the stories of this area where we work, live, and learn. I would also like to acknowledge and pay respects to the traditional ancestors of the Camaragal people, the elders who have walked this country through time, and all those who have cared for this land for many generations. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Tonight, as we celebrate the creation of Queenwood songlines and artwork, we reflect on our understanding of the past. We embrace the present and we craft a legacy for the future of Queenwood on this land. As young women of this community, we are honoured to be part of this evolving story. And as young women of the future, we look forward to carrying this connection to country with us, to guide, to educate, and to pass on to generations to come. Thank you. I would now like to invite Ms. McConaughey onto the stage.
Good evening. It is my very great pleasure to welcome you all here to the first Balmoral lecture of 2025. Our place, our community, respecting country. Everything starts and ends with country in the Aboriginal worldview, yet there are no endings in this worldview, nor are there any beginnings. Time and place are infinite and everywhere. Everything is part of a continuum, an endless flow of life and ideas emanating from country. These are the words of Margot Neal in her introduction to songlines, The Power and the Promise. In honour of Queenwood's centenary, we will hear about the Songlines project, which was conceived and developed by Auntie Julie Forster-Smith, a Kalka-Tunga woman and elder, and Jeanette Blaney. Aunties Julie and Jeanette have walked together with First Peoples in this country and First Peoples across the world for over 30 years. They brought this lived experience to working with Ms. Paula Tamberlin, Director of Culture and Community, on the Songlines project. Members of staff and the executive, and in particular Mrs. Belinda Moore, worked with her and supported her as this project unfolded. The project is fundamentally about bringing together a respect for country and the many years of ancient history with respect to the laws that are held in this place, together with the contemporary experiences of the Queenwood community that engages with the land and the waters here. The Songlines journey acknowledges the importance of place and our relationship with place. It acknowledges Aboriginal knowing and learning and its potential contribution to the lives of students today. Queenwood senior students have the extraordinary opportunity to walk between campuses, so bringing the connection with country into their educational experience. Every day, students are living, learning, and walking this stunningly beautiful place that we are so blessed to share with the community of Mossman and Balmoral. I think we all appreciate that, and I think it's one of the reasons we so love Queenwood. And yesterday I could share that experience with nearly 400 educators who were here in this theatre to a conference devoted to the education of girls. This place is truly powerful and beautiful. Auntie Julie will provide you with an insight into both the purpose and the process which 8 self-selected Year 9 students have undergone over the last 2.5 years. She will touch on what this experience has achieved for the students, for the school, and for the future students here at Queenwood. A key element of the journey these 8 young women have taken has been to equip them with leadership skills for a changing future. I say touch on because this will be followed by a yarn with these students and those who worked with them, where you will hear firsthand the learning and the outcomes of these experiences. You will be able to join this conversation and ask questions. Firstly, we will hear from Mary McMurtry Probert, who we were fortunate to commission to paint our centenary artwork from footprints to songlines, respectfully cradling the ancient, the now, and the future. This beautiful artwork celebrates our identity, our values, and our connection to country. An exciting process yet to come will be the creation of a mural at the Mandalong campus. It will incorporate key elements of this commissioned artwork. The plan for the mural will involve a collaboration between the artist, Mary, and the head of visual arts, Mr. Nicholas Phillipson. The painting of the mural itself will provide a practical, creative experience for our students studying art in 2025. I now invite Mary McMurtry, the amazing artist of this intricately detailed and beautifully and powerful work, to come forward and speak. Thank you.
Puratnini. Puratnini, everyone. Puratnini means hello and welcome in Kalkatungu language, the traditional language of my Aboriginal ancestors. I would like to sincerely thank you for your warm welcome to this very special event this evening. I feel blessed and honoured, yet extremely humbled to be here, and also very privileged to be invited to walk this journey with your school over the past months, to bring this important story to life through my painting. Firstly, please let me take a moment to both acknowledge and pay my deepest of respects to the traditional custodians of country where we gather here this evening, the Cammeraygal peoples. I honour and pay my respects to their ancestors, elders, and community on these lands, and thank them for their continuing spiritual and cultural connections to the Cammeraygal lands, sea, and sky country. A truly beautiful and special place that continues to hold, cradle, and carry ancient stories and songlines. I also thank ancestors for providing myself and my family safe passage whilst travelling these sacred lands. At this same time, I would also like to pay my deepest of respects to Uncle Max Dulamunmun Harrison and to his descendants for sharing his teachings, his lessons, and sheer abundance of the old ways he has handed down. At times throughout this presentation, I will refer to Uncle Max and his teachings, as shared in the more recently published ancient story of Garrawal the Whale, a sacred dreaming story that embraces and absorbs the legacy, the story, and spirit of Uncle Max following Garrawal, as referenced in his books. I'm also blessed to have listened to the many stories of Uncle Max's teachings, as he shared with my Auntie Julie Smith over many, many years on this very land. In Auntie's words, precious time walking country with Uncle Max is a treasured time. To quote Aunt, Uncle was one of those old people, a deep vessel of knowledge, of wisdom, and of generous spirit. In his gentle way, he used words that truly opened your eyes and heart to a way of seeing, feeling, and understanding. Yarns with him would leave you thinking about his words long after time with him had passed. His spiritual presence remained strong with those of us who were blessed to spend time with him. As an Aboriginal woman and artist, it's important for me to introduce myself, to share who I am, where I come from, and my connection to country. As you heard, my name is Mary McMurtry, formerly Proberts. I'm a proud Kalkatunga Marapai, and Marapai meaning woman in Kalkadoon language. My lineage flows through strong women. My great-great-grandmother, Gulia or Yulia Kalkadoon, recognised as a traditional owner who married a man named Walter Hickson. They had 3 daughters, Louis, also known as Louisa, Lizzie, also known as Elizabeth, and Yulia Hickson. My great-grandmother is Louis, or Louisa Hickson, and she had 10 children, including my grandmother, Julia Proberts. I am a mother, now blessed to be a grandmother, or Mimi, as I'm affectionately referred to 2 gorgeous granddaughters, almost 3 and 1 year olds. I am an auntie, I'm a sister, I'm a niece, daughter, and proud mother-in-law to my beautiful, very soon-to-be daughter-in-law. I feel I'm truly blessed to be chosen to have birthed 3 of the most amazing sons, now 28, 26, and 21 years, who carry our Kalkatunga bloodline and spirit, along with our totems of the Desert Goanna and the emu of Kalkadoon country, as I do. I also take this opportunity to acknowledge the lands, waters and skies of the Turrbal people and country of Meanjin, or more commonly known as Brisbane. This is where I was born, and I also pay my respects to the Gubbi Gubbi or Cubby Cubby people of country of Moreton Bay, where I currently live. I also have family connections to Bowen, to Yarrabah, Cairns and to Winton in West and North Queensland. I follow the spirit of my ancestors and I'm guided by the knowledge and wisdom of my elders, in particular my Auntie Joyce or Elizabeth MacDonald, nee Foster, and my Auntie Julie Foster Smith, hopefully present with us soon or shortly here tonight. These strong women are my mothers, they're my teachers, they're my cultural mentors and my true inspiration. They have taught me endless life lessons since I was young on how to walk with humility, with dignity, with pride, and with honour. They have also taught me how to nurture spirit, find peace and fulfilment in ways when life has been challenging and when lifelong trauma rears up and nips at your heels and at your heart. I know in my heart my ancestors and my elders have guided and led me to a place of meaning and purpose, a place where I feel I can give back and also share in this space, where we as Aboriginal people can hold, we carry, and we share important stories for our future generations. Respecting my bloodline to country strengthens my matrilineal connections, informs my spirit, my energy, and my identity, especially my ways of knowing, my ways of being, and my ways of doing, including creating such pieces of art. Professionally, I've worked across many fields, including but not limited to education support, teaching, and lecturing at universities on Indigenous studies for pre-service teachers. My artistic journey truly began during Sorry Business, when my mother suddenly and very unexpectedly passed away some years ago. In many ways, painting became my language of healing and expressing myself in ways I was not able to verbalise. And from that moment, I guess I've never really stopped, and that's why I'm here tonight. I feel truly blessed to be able to share stories of the heart, of spirit, and of country through my artwork. Every piece of my artwork tells a new story. I'm inspired to capture the elements of our shared histories, our personal narratives, and create unique, vibrant pieces that reflect the sheer beauty, vitality, and essence of country, including the land, the waters, and the skies. Now I'm going to share a little bit more, I guess, the behind the the story behind the artwork, more about the process and what that looks like. To give you an insight as to what the process may look like, I'm going to talk a little bit about a recent yarn that I had with my Auntie Julie when we were discussing the process of bringing such artwork to life, as I'm often asked what this process looks like. At the time, I said to my auntie that I don't really have a process as such. I just paint. It's quite difficult to attempt and articulate a process when considering what I do and the way I do things to bring such stories to life visually. Myself and Auntie continued this conversation to a point where we circled back to two key considerations, being body and spirit. These considerations respectfully honour the voices of those who have carried and continue to carry and hold these stories. Additionally, an integral part of the process that lies at the heart of each piece created is cultural responsibility and cultural integrity. When I refer to body, I'm referring to the mechanics of creating such a piece. That is the process of choosing the appropriate canvas, designing the concepts, choosing the right colour palette, mixing the paints, experimenting with design and layout, changing direction often, and the movement of symbols to create meaning, sizing, scaling, flow, interconnectedness, etc., etc. Number 2 is spirit. Spirit, on the other hand, refers to the way in which I conceptualise the story in the best way to make meaning. Spirit is about my culture, my way of using my spiritual energy to gauge where all elements should be placed, how they interconnect with each other on the canvas, choosing the right colours to further enhance the energy of the painting and story, allowing time and space to reflect upon the flow of the story, and harnessing my spirit ancestors to guide my thinking and ways of working. This is very much an internal reflective process that can sometimes take the form of taking time out on country, learning of the place I'm painting, listening to the advice and guidance from my elders, and deep listening of all the voices who have a seat at the table. Sometimes this process means the painting, it takes as long as it takes, because deep listening, respect, and time on country must guide the work, not deadlines. My initial visits to Queenwood allowed me to listen, to feel, and to learn. And what I felt was a deep energy from a sacred women's place, a nurturing spirit that has existed here for thousands of years. The art I have created acknowledges Queenwood as a place where legacy is created and stories are carried forward by strong young women. We record stories through images such as this artwork, through historical and learning events, through song and also through performance. And we record stories by you, as young Queenwood women, walking the pathways of what has been left behind. If we have no song, we have no images and no performance, those stories can't be held and they can't be carried. The painting is a work that carries not just beauty, but deep cultural significance, sharing the ancient dreaming story of Garrawal the whale, a sacred narrative passed on by Uncle Max Dulamunmun Harrison. Garrawal is a whale spirit that teaches us about the best way for us to live, how to be resilient, and how to hold responsibility for looking after country. Each painting captures Garrawal's journey with vivid, flowing lines and tones that mirror the sand, the sea, the land, and sky country. Each curve and pattern tells part of the story about the ancient migration journey of Garrawal as it swims across country, looking after and singing country and following the bubbles in life. The painting also highlights the seasonal cycles the sacred connection between people, the sea, and to ceremony. So now I'm going to take you through some of the symbolism and meanings of this piece. As mentioned, the overarching essence of the painting is aimed at capturing the power and sacredness of place through an Aboriginal lens, and how spirituality of this special place has been nurtured by and cared for by strong women. The sheer sacredness and vitality of this land and surrounding bay is captured through seeing the land for its beauty, hearing the land and the stories it holds, and its spirit in its stillness. And so to briefly share some of the symbols and meanings incorporated in the painting, let's look at the painting itself to hopefully generate further meaning and understanding. I'm not sure which one you can see better, but we have it on the screen, or we've got the actual painting sitting here. So I'm just going to point, maybe I'm better pointing here as I talk through it. So you will see placed at the bottom middle centre of the artwork, so right down here, can you all see that? I have incorporated shaping to represent an open book, to recognise the school's commitment to journal this story, a turning of the page, so to speak, and adding new pages as time goes by. The open book also is symbolic of Uncle Mac's published story of Gurrawal the whale, his ancient knowledge and teachings now captured for generations to learn. You will see above the book symbols, here and here, representation of the ancestors and elders who are placed to guard that knowledge. You will also notice or see an abundance of bubbles of life rising from the book pages. So you can see throughout the entire painting, there's representation of bubbles throughout. The bubbles, as you can see, are plentiful, and they're sprinkled throughout the whole of the painting and through all stages of the young women's lives. Following the bubbles of the whales is a mantra for us collectively, passing on Uncle Max's legacy, his stories and life lessons. If you look to the bottom left and the right corner here, they're representations of the bookends that are prominent cliffs that visually almost act like gates to the bay, symbolising the gatekeepers to this very sacred place. So those two there, oh, oops, sorry. That comes later. So I'm referring to these two cliffs here on either side. You can see the designs on the cliffs there are representative of the sacred stories, ancient stories, through rock paintings. On the top right hand of the cliffs, you'll just notice, see there are a representation of 3 rocks, denoting 3 reflective, philosophical and contemplative questions. Those questions being, so for the bottom rock here, where did I come from? The middle rock, where am I now? And the top rock, where am I going? The essence of contemporary mindfulness that encourages one to reflect. Again, one of the many of Uncle Max's teachings that encourages thoughts around the past, the present, and the future, providing a sense of grounding and reflection. This teaching steers away from the westernised ways of separateness and sees the 3 perspectives of time together. This is about shifting our perspective on time and the ancient, the here and the now, and how it flows into the future. So if we move to the centre beauty of the bay, you will see beautiful hues and turquoise. So we're looking at this part here. We're looking at turquoise coloured waters, drawing us in closer. So the beauty of the bay is the focus area of the artwork there. In between the bookends carries vibrant sea life, ecosystems. So ecosystems are represented here, all around. See the journey, the ecosystems, the laying of eggs, and so on and so forth. And this contributes to the life and sustainability of many ocean creatures habitating on the very doorstep of Queenwood. The two whales in the centre, I don't think I need to point them out, hopefully you can see them clearly. The two whales in the centre shows the hunting method whales use called bubble netting, where a group of whales work together, swimming in circles around a school of fish, usually krill fish, whilst the whales exhale bubbles from their blowholes, directing their prey into the centre of their net, one of nature's strategies for survival. Again here, if you look, see there are three spears. There are three prominent symbols that are referred to as ancient spears. There is one spear allocated for spearing fish for feeding, one spear for combat, and the third sturdy spear is utilised for ceremony when Ngurawal presents itself. Uncle Max's legacy to follow the bubbles is a mantra for us collectively, from land to the seas. In this space, we see and feel the soothing power and tenacity of the tides and calmness of the rolling waves and the calming ocean spirit. And it's often a place for us to find peace and to reflect. A sacred place in the bay where the water meets the sands. So now we're looking here. So that's the shoreline, there and there. So directly out the front of the college are the beaches and the hills. And as you will know well, the shoreline is lined with beautiful, historical, deep-rooted fig trees, where ceremony, song and performance and laws have been passed on for thousands of years. So here, there's 4 fig trees prominently positioned on your shoreline, beautiful old trees. The footprints, you may not be able to see them, but there are footprints represented in between the fig trees. They are on the shores. They are the actual local Aboriginal clans looking out towards the ocean and actively tracking the migration of the whales, because it's nearing time for ceremony and for clans to gather together. There is also representation of kangaroo tracks that are representative of the abundance of native animals on country. On the other side here, so coming back to this side of the shoreline, we have representation of the island, where I believe many Queenwood students spend time sharing, learning, and have participated in ceremony with local elders, including Uncle Max. So as we move above the fig trees, you will see symbolism of ancient sign lines that remain embedded within country that have been there for thousands of years. The U-shape surrounding each circle represents the Aboriginal guardians of such knowledge and stories. So I'm actually referring to those circular images, symbols, where the U-shapes are surrounding the knowledge contained in those song lines. So then we progress and we move up to, further up the top, mountain country. So cradling the surrounds of Queenwood, or wrapping around or cradling the centrepiece that is Queenwood College, as the centrepiece and backdrop of the painting. These give protection from the hills down towards the bay. Cradling implies protection and the wrapping of arms tightly around the students, the staff, the community, and visitors. A sense of place where songlines remain strong and a sense of protectiveness is felt by the mountain surrounds. The layers of trees, the tiered hills, and the carvings embedded in the ochre-coloured cliffs serving as reminders of the past, and thousands of footprints moving across the land of all of those gone before us. If I now draw your attention, there are 4 circles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 circles represent the school's values of truth, courage, and service, and they're captured through the circular symbols. Firstly, the symbol of truth, this one here, is all about seeking knowledge, seeking deep understanding and truth-telling. So representative in that circle is actually elders sitting at the table and sharing stories and knowledge of the ancient songlines of this country. Then we move on to the next circle, which is courage. So this one here and the one up the top there. Courage is about persevering through adversity. Spears are represented in that circle and is significant of the meaning around protecting and having the courage to stand up, speak up, and protect what is yours and what is sacred. The next circle I'm referring to is this one here. And this is the 3rd value of Queenwood, which is service. So offering service with peace, with humility and compassion, standing with the vulnerable and the marginalised. Queenwood feet, there are feet in there, you may not be able to see it, but there are feet that are facing outwards. And in terms of positioning the feet to face outwards means that you are facing the community and providing service to many different community groups. I'd also just like to note that I have taken the liberty of including a 4th circle, not actively or currently included in the school values, but one of significance and importance and exactly why we're here this evening, and that circle is representative of country. So within that circle, this is representative of place, the sacredness of this place. And central to this circle is incorporation of our waterways. So you're surrounded by beautiful ocean waterways and also local vegetation. So I've included some grass trees in there as well. Creating that 4th circle and having the 4 values, I guess my purpose for creating those 4 circles is it also encompasses dual meaning, and it can also represent the 4 campuses of Queenwood, from the junior school to the senior school, and students walking between campuses where the students see themselves as an integral part of the school, seeing themselves in the creation of this story and how they carry their learnings, and they carry and share it from one space to another. Located above these 4 core values lies images of larger, more prominent women, ancestor spirits, whose presence is still felt. Ancestors that dwell in this space and who continue to nurture, protect, and hold the feminine energy of this place. Women's business. Country and spirit figures reflect the fundamental importance and sacredness of this land where Queenwood sits. Recognising this land's ancestral custodianship of this place and the continuing presence of the ancestral spirits who are ever present, holding and protecting energy over the whole school and the whole community. The female ancestors' bellies expanded to reflect the blessing of fertility and childbearing. So you can see the spirit ancestors surrounding the 4 campuses. At the top of the piece you will find representation of Uncle Max's grandfather's son. So I'm referring to this piece in the middle here. Pulling all of the elements together, the rising and setting of grandfather's son. The sun is a spiritual ancestor that helps guide us and to understand the movement of Gurrawal the whale, also taught by Uncle Max. We have sky country up the top. We have the guiding scar located at the peak in the centre of the painting, reflecting the school's motto, through struggles to the stars. I'd also just to highlight here, you see a little dilly bag. And the dilly bag is more of a personal representation of my elder bloodline, aunties, and how they carried knowledge and share. We often yarn or talk about our dilly bags and sharing what each holds. In addition to the kangaroo tracks, you will find emu prints scattered throughout the painting and scattered across country, and that's also representative of my traditional country, Kalkadoon country, also referenced as emu country. Although brief, I sincerely hope that these descriptions have provided you with a somewhat deeper sense of understanding and knowledge of some of the meaning embedded within this artwork. It is only some, not all. It is so important to unpack such meanings and to hear that art captures so much more than just being a picture. It holds and it carries a story. I'm now going to click back to my favourite picture. I would like to share a photo of truly deep significance for me personally. A photo that captures my heart and my soul. One of my gorgeous granddaughters, my little namesake, Lani Mary, although she's much bigger now. This photo captures the very reason I do what I do. For me, as her Mimi, or grandmother, my wish is for her to also grow up and walk always with a heart full of pride in her culture, full of pride in her identity, and to always walk with the grace and dignity of her Kalkadoon ancestors, and as a First Nations girl growing into a woman. In concluding, I would like to offer a blessing for your journey forward. I would like to invite you, for when you stand before this painting, take a moment, feel the stories it holds, and reflect on where you have come from, where you are now, and where your journey is leading you. You are all now a part of this story. You are the keepers of the bubbles. You are the carriers of new dreams and of new songlines. Thank you for letting me walk beside you on this journey, and I thank you for sharing your spirit with my spirit. So from my heart to yours, thank you. From my understanding now, I'm going to invite Auntie Julie and Jeanette to the front here and share some more information about songlines with the students. So thank you, Auntie Julie and Jeanette. Is that the slide you wanted on? That'll do.
You're going to speak first. Just talk. Hold it to your chin and talk. Okay. How many English teachers have we got in the room here at the moment? Yeah. Us blackfellas, we spell auntie as A-U-N-T-Y. And I know it should be an I-E, but if it's not a typo. It's just the way we are. Well, I am so pleased I got here despite the rain and despite airlines and despite other things. And I was going to make it one way or another. And in particular, for these young women in the front here who've worked so hard and who've gone through an enormous journey and who will leave a legacy that I think will be forever part of the alumni of this school, and certainly formidable young women leaders in the future. The fact that they can see difference, they don't have to agree with all of the differences, but they can understand them sufficiently to know that the world is a complex place, even more complex today than it was certainly when I was a young woman, their age. So for me, that's what being a global woman and a global young woman going forward is, that they are able to bring that strength of new leadership to a new world.
Okay, so just to give you a little bit of an idea of how the Songlines journey came to be, when we were asked to look at what we could provide with the students at Queenwood for the centenary, I held Songlines, and that Queenwood was an ideal place to look at the contemporary songlines that are being walked and shortly sung by the students in their everyday experience of being here at Queenwood and going between the campuses. So 8 young people selected themselves to actually become part of this. We thought they might have had an idea of what they were electing to do because we'd shared a bit about what it was about. But I'm not sure that any of them were aware of what they were stepping into until much later. And that experience has been something that we're about to share with you as well. The intention was to identify the country, the elements of country that exist, and the elements of Queenwood, and to bring it together. So what you see above here is the first campus, which is the junior one, and the students came up with the words and the image of something that was really meaningful in that campus, which was a very special tree. So they came up with the words, as you can see, red shoes skipping, songs coming alive, bright minds full of creativity and curiosity. And then the refrain, which is walking together, respecting country on our journey to the stars, which is the Queenwood element that comes with each of the campuses. And as you'll see with the next one, this one is Mandalong. On a hill the sun breaks free, sandstone holding stories, learning taking many forms, expanding our horizons. And you can see the shape of the bay, which you can see from this campus here. Finding these words took a while, which they can probably attest to if they went shortly. So this is the Lawrence campus, footsteps awakening, ideas blossoming, our path evolving as we weave our way. And the choice of a B here, I think, is highly significant in terms of the science the growth, the change and the importance of bees in life and the continuity of life. The art campus is creating waves of innovation, colour splashing canvas, tracing footsteps of those who came before, and the whale, which you've heard about. As the whales take their journey, they're seen from here. So what we'd like to do, if you've got something more to say, we bring the girls up.
I guess I'm just trying to think how best to share with you how I received the message that it was that, because this is such a strong woman's place. From a Camaragal place, it's such a strong women's place. It's 100 years old, and for that is like the strength of womanhood needs to be celebrated. And how better to celebrate it than to acknowledge how you've transformed young women into strong women who are clear, who are critical thinkers, and who are able to see the world in a much bigger place than a small place. We might be an isolated island, and we haven't had wars in this country like other nations have, in the same way where there's been an enormous amount of suffering. It's a different kind of history that we have, and it's a history that can be embraced, understood, and as my cardiologist once said to me, who's from Poland, and she said to me, she said, I don't understand why Australians get so uptight about the history. No country has a perfect history. Every country has their flaws. Why is it? And I said, then you've got to ask the Australian. I said, I have my version of it. I said, but my people don't hold bitterness. I am called after Mary's grandmother, who was the eldest of my father's siblings of 10. The youngest sibling is still alive and she's 94, and she's just started to use a walking stick. Puts me to shame. But nonetheless, I'm getting there. And never has been a sense in my family of any bitterness. Life is a journey, and your strength is inner, and your spirit is always there in a strong way. It's how you nurture it and how you become the woman that you are. And I could only be astounded by the whole process that we went through with this songlines is about understanding the changes that happens to you when you walk through country and you carry the history of that country with you, both from the ancient to the now, and as they walk on. And certainly these young women have been enormously patient in learning what is generally referred to as Indigenous ways of knowing, which is now much more prominent in the curriculum because everybody learns differently and takes in information differently. People like me have been raised to know that your body is the first bit of intelligence. Your head is just a cognitive space in terms of trying to understand it from all different perspectives, but it's in your body. And an example that I often used to refer to when Jeanette and I in the early days is that when you walk into a room, you can tell if all of a sudden it goes silent that something's quite different. And it's that level of intelligence that these girls have been able to, and willingly, and I am so grateful that they were willing, to be able to walk that journey from an Indigenous way of understanding so that they have a capacity to expand their way of understanding the world, of seeing different ways of learning and understanding, being critical about what that means for themselves and for the communities that they value, and how that happens, and how has Queenwood contributed to that space for them throughout their lives, long after they've left this campus. Their privilege matters. They need to embrace that privilege. Embracing that privilege is about how does that fit in with their values. And walking the songlines has been a time for them over the last 3 years to be able to, or 2.5 years, to be able to see, well, how much of this do I want to carry forward? How much is still, the seed has been planted, but it's still gestation, still happening. And how will I take that into the future? And long after they've left this school, I absolutely have faith that they will reflect on those moments, because those moments will come up. And how does that reflect on them as women and leaders? Because this country needs it more than ever now in terms of how we go forward as a nation.
Can we bring them up now?
Yeah.
I'd like to bring... Can the girls come? Okay, so towards the end of this time that we've had together, we've been talking about the experience this has been, and we have... do you want me to do it? It's the questions? Yeah. Okay, so we just ask a few questions of the girls so that you hear from them a little bit about what this has been for them. And I realise time's running out, so we're going to move quickly. First question.
Just before Auntie Jeanette asks this question, just to let you know that from our cultural place, songlines is not kept by one individual. You might know the whole songline, but only one individual or one group, one clan tends to hold the law of that. It's been amazing how these young women came up with a piece of music, orchestral piece of music, which is what our First Nations people always have, is a piece of music, a song that goes with it, words that go with that piece of music, the rhythm, the words, and the story. And they came up with exactly all of those elements on their own. And it is something that they will leave this school with, and it'll be here forever. They belong to this land in as much as anybody else. And they have proven that by being able to absolutely do a songline that has all the elements from a contemporary place.
Yep. So, what did it feel like for you when you had this aha type moment? What did it feel like in your bodies?
Well, it was such an exciting thing because since before we actually saw the whole picture of what was happening, it felt like kind of we were making a surprise for ourselves, and it was just such a lovely, exciting thing to be like, wow, this is what we're doing, and like this is what we've been working so hard for, and this like such amazing, beautiful, intricate task that we've been like working on for so long, and just being like, felt like a little present for all of us, and just seeing how like it all came together so beautifully.
Okay.
Well, just adding on to what Beatrix said, I feel like we've just been doing this project for such a long time, about 1.5 years now, I'd say. And I feel at the beginning, 2.5 years, and at the beginning, we were year 7, we just signed up for something we didn't really know what it was about. And now I feel like we've all worked together to create something for our school centenary that will really stick with the school and leave a legacy.
Thank you. So what did it feel like when you got it cognitively? It's the first one in the body now.
For me, it was kind of like a relief because building up to the aha moment, I had kind of been really confused. Like, I was like, I feel like we aren't really doing anything. Like, this just feels like we're kind of talking and we're kind of having fun. But then once I realized that we'd actually accomplished all that we needed to accomplish, I was like, oh, like, that wasn't that hard. That kind of felt like I'd always known what it was that I needed to do, but like without knowing it, if that makes sense. And yeah, I was just really relieved that I knew what I was meant to be doing.
Continuing on from Naomi, personally, when I had that moment of, oh, like it's all coming together so well, I felt extremely glad that everything we'd done was going to come together so beautifully.
Thank you. So what will you take away from this experience?
What will I take away from this experience? Well, something that we definitely learnt along the way was to definitely trust the process. Like, I'm sure everyone's heard that expression like a lot, but it's definitely very helpful to know that eventually it will come together, because as everyone else has said, like, at the beginning we didn't really know what we were getting into. It definitely wasn't what I was expecting when it all wrapped up. Well, not really wrapped up, but as we finished. And also, probably I'll take away the stories that the aunties shared with us about Uncle Max and about all the stories about the country and everything. Yeah, that was really lovely talking about those stories, and yeah, definitely stick with me.
Well, adding on to what Natalia said about trusting the process, like I feel like at the start we were all like a bit confused about what was happening and we were lost at some points, but like as it went on and we realized what we were doing, like it evolved into something like really like memorable and like beautiful, and I think we're all really proud of like what we did at the end.
Thank you. Thanks, Susan. So, what will you share? What will you give away to others, and to including future students? Giving away, like Uncle Max talks about, you've got to give it away to keep it.
Well, I feel like we'll be giving away to the next generation, we'll be giving them kind of a base. We've created these beautiful work pieces that they can then take inspiration off and build up from. I feel like we've just kind of gave them some sturdy ground and they can build wherever they want from there.
Thank you. Yeah, so just before we finish up here, because I think we've only got time for a couple of questions, if that. Is that right? Yep. Annie, Julie's reminded me that one of the big things that happened was that we didn't actually have an intention to create music when we were doing this. But the inspiration came and Claire actually found herself writing the music while some of the other girls were finding the words to, and it's actually come into a song, and you will hear that song some other time, not now, but it will happen, and it was an incredible inspiration. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Claire, did you want to say anything about what inspired you?
I kind of
didn't really know I was studying tutu. Like, I didn't know that I was going to compose something for the Songlines project. I think I just sat down one day after we had a chat, and I was just like, oh, what do I need to take away from, like how do I contribute to this project? And I kind of got inspired by everything you've been talking about, and country, I guess, as well, and everything surrounding our school. And I just sat down and composed, I guess.
It's really something, yeah. So, is there a question anybody would like to ask any of us? No.
You can ask anything. Absolutely anything. Jeanette and I we've been walking together for over 30 years. We're used to people asking anything out of left field, anything out of right field, anything out of the centre, that's fine. Yes.
My question's for the young ladies. We heard a lot about Aboriginal ways of knowing through the body and through the cognition. And I love how you were all mentioning that at the beginning of this journey, you didn't feel that there was a purpose until everything was resolved. And so this might be too big of a question, but I was just wondering, has that caused you to reflect on what we do in a classroom? Have you begun to think, like, when you sit down in our classrooms and you're learning in the Queenwood spaces, do you feel a difference with having now been opened up to Aboriginal ways of knowing and experiencing learning?
Well, I feel like there's so many differences. They're both such beautiful ways of learning, but it's so, like, the aunties have been guiding us this whole time. They've let us do it, like, they've let us explore and find our own ways of, like, and do our own problem solving instead of just telling us what to do, which I think is kind of more the traditional thing of there's a right and a wrong answer. But I think with this, it's so much more guided and so much more like your own thing, and you can really explore more without having a certain structure you have to follow all the time.
Yeah, adding on to Beatrix, that's like definitely because in the classroom it's very structured, like in not traditional classroom, in just normal classrooms, it's very structured. You follow a certain guide, you learn certain things, very structured. But with this, again, we were leading it, not really the aunties or Miss Tamblin, but we were just given tools, but then we, I guess, paved our own path, I guess, yeah.
I also just wanted to add that it was like kind of a shock because we would often have like meetings during the day, and we'd be all relaxed and we'd be learning without like knowing that we're learning, and then we go back in the classroom and it was like, whoa, like I kind of like their way of learning a bit better. So.
On that note, all right. Thank you. Actually, there's so much that's interesting in what you just said that that'd be a whole kind of couple of hours of us meeting and talking about that. I'm sure in an art room, it's very much, or a design room or a lot of learning spaces, this is something that's used. But we'll have to be chatting to you lot after this. But look, my job is to sort of draw this to a close now. I think I speak for everybody to say, you know, I've been quite profoundly moved by this, listening to it all, and I feel that I won't move around the campuses the same as I have, because I bring a wealth of knowledge from having listened to you, Mary, and listening to the aunties and you girls. So thank you. And for you girls in the audience, firstly, thank you for being here and understanding that this would be an important and powerful evening. But also, you have responsibilities as young women to do really what Auntie Julie was sort of saying that we as women should do, which is to go and carry a message. And I'd really like to think that you would share some of this over lunch chats. I don't know how you can weave it into conversations as you walk down to Esther Road, how you walk back, but I'm sure you'll find a way to do that so it becomes part of the fabric of this school and the appreciation of it all. I won't say any more. Can I just say a very, very big thank you to you, Mary, not just for the painting itself, which is a absolutely beautiful gift that Queenwood has received for its centenary, but also for the way you went through it to explain it to us. And I think that we will share that as we go about our daily duties here, so that we bring that knowledge and that richness to the campus that goes on for generations. So thank you very much for everything. I'd like to thank you to both of you aunties. You sort of have felt part of the place, and I think we're going to really miss you. Can you please be Queenwood's aunties? Now, there's so much wisdom. I feel as though I want to go home and write down some of what you've said, but we do have it recorded, so I do want to sort of grab it and to be able to use it, because there was so much wisdom there that I know that is important for me, so I assume it's important for other people as well, that maybe we knew it, maybe we've forgotten it, we're all so busy. But can I say just a very, very big thank you to you both. Thank you. And to you girls, you created something that wasn't here before, using a methodology and a whole way of thinking that you didn't know anything about before. You've left a gift to the school, and I think that you're going to take this experience with you for the rest of your lives. So thank you very much. And finally, I have to thank the staff who made this happen. I have to say thank to Paola Tamberlin, who, well, really, I don't even know where to start and where to finish on that, but it is your gift to Queenwood as well, Paola, and thank you to Belinda Moore, of course, who makes everything happen, but certainly made this happen, right through the journey of it, through the really, really exciting, amazing pieces of it, right through to the bits that the organisational bits just to make it work. So that's a huge capacity to be able to move between the two. And to Murray Winton, who always seems to be part of this project and has his very own big project, which we've yet to bring to you. On that, that's all. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.